We have the final answer as to pay to win in Diablo 4, and they have specifically clarified one more time about the questions that were arising. Even myself, I was curious about this as well. You've probably seen some of the viral clips going around from other content creators talking about pay to win in Diablo Immortal, or what could potentially be the pay to win in Diablo Immortal. Not necessarily saying it is pay to win, but that there is a outlier case scenario in which if the bottleneck is actually the Battle Pass tier, not exactly the level requirements to go with Smoldering Ashes. Therefore, if you level way faster than you get the Battle Pass, you could probably just buy the Battle Pass instead of leveling the Battle Pass yourself. And once you are that level, which is not the bottleneck, you'll get the Ashes faster. Essentially, the long and short of it is we were wondering, can you get the Smoldering Ashes a little bit sooner by basically buying the Battle Pass tier skips? That was more or less the conversation. Well, they have specifically clarified and answered this exact specific question. So this would have been a clip by Mr. Llama, who broke down fairly eloquently the issue that I myself also saw. I actually made a video about this, which I since removed because I read their clarification and I actually believe them. So this is by Adam Fletcher. During my interactions with him, he seems like a legitimate fellow, a nice guy, and I do actually believe him when he says, "We aren't selling power. That is the philosophy of the game and team. If anything comes up like an edge case where it would be possible, that would mean it isn't working as intended and we would immediately resolve it. No ifs, ands, or buts." So effectively what he is saying here is, look, in the outlier scenario in which the bottleneck is anything other than playing the game, if you can play the game, but you're still waiting on your Battle Pass, so therefore people could buy the Battle Pass, that would be an outlier, an edge case scenario, and it would be immediately resolved. Those are his words. They would immediately resolve it, no ifs, ands, buts. So effectively, they go on to clarify this further, but basically the Battle Pass itself is trying to be leveled at the same time as the actual level of the character. Effectively, they're balancing it around the fact that they don't want this outlier to be a problem, and don't be concerned about it, is basically what they are telling people. So at this point, it boils down to one very simple thing when it comes to Diablo 4 pay to win. Do you believe the devs or not? Because you can look directly at it, and at this point I do believe him, which is why I decided to pull my video talking about this potential issue as well, is because he directly says it right here. He's basically directly responding to, and this is a clip directly responding to the latest, and this again, this scenario explained by Mr. Llama is objectively correct, by the way. That is the whole scenario in which if you are leveling faster than the Battle Pass, then you could actually potentially have an issue there. That's a correct premise, but they are specifically answering that premise and saying that that is not intended nor being balanced around, and if for some reason that mechanic comes out that way, they will immediately resolve that. So at this point, we're basically broken down to, do you believe the devs when they say, look, if it comes into the game, it's by accident, we're going to fix it. Seasons aren't till midway through July anyway. Leaderboards won't be on the start of the season, so don't worry about it, but we will not allow, or do you not believe them? You think they're lying? They're trying to slip in the pay to win. So in the beginning, my first impression of it was watching the live stream. I was kind of like, this seems purposely like it's kind of difficult to understand, because I've seen some hidden mechanics before, but at this point, they're going out of their way to specifically clarify it in the public's eye. This is not the scenario, and in order for us to actually believe that there is going to be this specific scenario that myself and other people have laid out, we would have to directly basically be saying the devs are lying to our faces, and at this point, I just don't believe they're lying. I don't think they're lying directly to our face a couple weeks before the game comes out. It would be very easy once the game, arrives and we can see it. It'd be very easy to be like, you just lied to us, like, within a month. So they're really setting themselves up into a corner like, no, we will not have any pay to win. And they keep doubling down over and over and over again. And they're doing it so many times, doubling down, no pay to win, no pay to win, no pay to win, that at this point, I believe them. So you can giggle at me if you want for believing them, or we can see what happens when the game comes. But as it stands now, no pay to win in Diablo 4. These outlier cases about the Battle Pass and specifically being able to actually level faster than the Battle Pass tier skips are not legitimate. It was a real argument to be made, but it's not a legitimate problem because the devs themselves have seen this complaint. They are aware about this complaint, and they're specifically answering it by saying, we will make sure this is not a problem. So there's the answer, straight from the devs themselves. Have a wonderful day.